Hey guys, how's it going? Octopus here, and welcome back to Union Cross, but a sneak peek into the JP version, not the global version, because oh my, did they ever get hit with some new content and a very important meta, which is, if you guys clicked on this video, you know it's spoilers, right? This is spoilers. You're warned. Okay, a new Kairi, a Kairi Kai has finally come out. Now, they told us a little while ago, like, hey, there's not gonna be any new Kairi medals for quite a while. Well, I guess quite a while to them was only like a month or two. I guess that was good enough for people to save up, especially with all these banners being pushed into our face. I don't know, but there's a new Kairi. She's amazing. I'm gonna say that right now. If you get her, game changer, especially in PvP more than PvE. But there's ways around it, and she's not a mercy pull. So we got to talk about all of this. And also, there's a high score challenge, which I really need to address, and PvP's being changed as well, just by a little bit. So, you guys ready? You ready for the new Kairi? Here she is. It may look confusing at first. You may see a lot of shit on the screen. That is because there is a lot. There's a ton of buffs and debuffs and cures and gauges and special attack and all that fancy stuff. So, first thing right in the top, guys, is overwrite. What does this mean? This is the new and busted thing about her. This is what makes her special. Overwrite means no matter what buffs I have, what debuffs I have, what buffs enemies have, what debuffs enemies have, whatever's on us gets erased, and everything you see on this right here, all this right here, will be applied. So if the enemy has +7 general defense, +7 attribute defense up, and he's just hurling, he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna go nowhere. You go, Kairi plus, boom, everything's gone, and they get all the debuffs in the world. It's just that simple. But that also takes in consideration this override ability means that you do not have to have extra attack on this medal, and you cannot copy this medal, because no matter what you do, you can't apply any other buffs or debuffs. This erases everything and applies the buffs and debuffs that this medal has. So extra attack is useless besides adding +1 to the enemy's counter and giving you an extra 10 gauges. I believe the +1 doesn't get overwrite. I believe it just applies, so you should have +2. That's the only benefit. That's what that little +1 there is for. That's enemy's counters +1 and +10 gauges. So let's just go over what the medal does, which is everything, like you guys can see, and a little bit more. 7 uprights, which is the cap. This is all capped out at ×7, unless you have pet rank, I think it was 8 or 9. Pet rank 7, 8, or 9, one of those, but you're allowed to go to +8 with the attributes, I believe. Can't remember if the general strength was applied to that. But, so, +7 upright strength, +7 general strength, +7 of all the attributes, magic, speed, and power, all +7, and then the enemy's defense for upright defense ×7, defense down ×7, general defense, and attribute defense down ×7. And then you also a little bit of turtling in a buffing medal ×2 attribute attack down, along with the cure and the +1 gauges and 80% special attack to everyone, guilt. So if your medal is, let's say, a tier 7 has 200% guilt, it now has 280% guilt. If it's a tier 8, it now has 310% guilt, if I did that math right. So she's everything you want and more. And on top of that, what I don't have written here is that she also has Asuna, or Asuna, whatever way it's supposed to be said. She cures your static elements. So if you're poisoned, if you're paralyzed, she will get rid of that. Sleep, if she's affected by sleep, she's gonna get skipped, so that doesn't count. But she will cure your poison, and she'll cure your paralysis. So this medal is broken in PvP, and if you want to ever compete in PvP, as long as it's 3 Keyblades, you're gonna need 2 copies of her in the 2nd Keyblade and the 3rd Keyblade. And the first one, you don't need it because you don't need the Asuna, you don't need any of the extra stuff taking away his buffs or debuffs or your debuffs. That's because in your first turn when you're attacking, you don't need all that fancy stuff. But for defending, you're gonna need multiple copies. But as amazing as she is, of course she costs 0 gauges, of course she has a really low guilt. When she's a 7-star, she has like a 22% multiplier, so don't make her a 7-star. I don't believe it's going to apply anything. If it does, it might increase that to ×10. Maybe it might apply ×3 to that, like it does to everything else, because later on, with this incredible amount of buffs and debuffs and everything into one, they're going to have to increase. I don't think they're going to have to, but if they ever want to make future medals look very like worth the jewels, like very like, ooh, look, new metal, spend your money, they're gonna have to increase the buff cap like they did before. If you guys are new to this series, the game, the buff cap before was ×3 the most, and ×3 for defense down. Everything was ×3, and then it was increased to ×7, and only recently the pet increased it to ×8. So the pet might keep increasing it before our buff cap is doubled or tripled or whatever. I don't know what's gonna happen, but with this 80% guilt, I don't think they're gonna be doing that for any time. Anytime soon, and especially because we make our medals from 6-star to 7-star, so I don't see the buff cap being raised anytime soon. They can just apply more turtling along with buffing, but then that's just going to be Exodia of the freaking of Kingdom Hearts. So this is Kairi. She's amazing. There's nothing bad about her besides that she overwrites. So if you get extra attack, you have a useless trait because you don't need plus 20 gauges on the beginning of your Keyblade setup, and that's the only downfall I can really see to her. And she's not going to be a Mercy. She's not going to be Mercy pull. So my huge advice to you guys, JP got a free pull. If you get that free pull, get that free pull and don't try to chase. Let's say it's a falling price deal and you got that first free pull. That counts as your 3,000 free pull. After that's going to be 25, so on and so on. So it is going to only cost you like 8,600 jewels to pull 5 times. But it doesn't mean there's no Mercy. On their 5th pull, you're not guaranteed it. So don't be trapped by this at all. And that's because on the second part of this video, I'm going to talk about this. Buffers that we currently have in the game and debuffers. So right now, realistically, even in PvP, if you have an extra attack on any of your stained glass medals, as you can see, stained glass does ×7 of everything. You will basically do what she does with overwrite. So let's say the enemy does lower your general defense down by 7 tiers. You activate stained glass once, activate it again, and you're at +7. So realistically, an extra attack stained glass, an extra attack Kairi or Xion or Scrooge or anything that has ×7 strength on it and ×7 everything else, if that has extra attack or you copy it, you do what Kairi does, but in 1 medal with extra attack or 2 medals with a copycat medal. Basically, this new Kairi says, hey, I don't need any more copycattles. We don't need extra attack anymore. That trait's useless on my territory, and we don't need your copycat medals extra attack to copy your buffs anymore. I do everything. If they raise the buff cap later on, you do have to get another medal that applies more buffs and debuffs, because you can't just copy her with a copy medal because of the skill overwrite that she comes with. So keep that in consideration. But currently in the game, we don't need her immediately except for PvP. People with her in PvP have a little bit of an edge. If they don't have extra attack on certain medals, they do have an edge. But I still think that you have a lot more power if you have a stained glass medal and you're using like a power Keyblade, or you have one of the magic ones or speed ones, etc, etc. As long as you have extra attack on one of these medals, you guys are safe. If you have extra attack on Xion or Scrooge, you guys are safe from not pulling immediately, because there is other medals that remove the enemy's buffs and debuffs, but like I said, you don't need that when you have all this going on. And of course, on top of it, when you combine the stained glass medals with prime medals, you definitely don't need this new Kairi. The only issue with prime and stained glass medals are they specific to their attribute. So if you're using Key Art 17, magic. If you're using prime Axel, power. So only your power medals will benefit, where this Kairi does everyone. She is good for everything. Everything that you want to do, you can do with Kairi. It's just insane of... It's done. It's done. I don't understand where the game is going at this point when a medal like that drops. It just says, hey, everything you've been pulling for, well, you really didn't need it, because what's most important now, out of everything, if you have that medal, the only thing you need to look for is the multiplier again. We're back to the phase of we only need to look for the multiplier. We were already at that with Kairi and Xion EX, and also with these prime and stained glass medals. After you cast this prime and a stained glass, or a stained glass and a stained glass, all you needed was bigger multipliers, because you had all the buffs and debuffs that you needed. But now with that Kairi, you really just got to look at this. That's it. And it's a no-brainer that if Kairi's here, Xion's going to be around the corner. But instead of upright defense down and upright strength up, it's going to be reversed. So you're going to have Kairi, and you're going to have Xion, depending on what medals you want to use. Usually, upright and reverse both have really good metals, so it's going to be one of those things. If you don't have both of them, you're kind of screwed. But usually there is one type in the game that dominates over the other one, depending what you get. So you don't need both according to what your metals are. Like me personally, upright is my strongest. I really didn't need any reverse metals, but now that the Axel came out and Lexius and Dark Knowledge is so good, my reverse metals needed more working on. I needed more reverse buffs. But like I said, currently in the game, we have all the buffs and debuffs we need. If you have extra attack on Prime Axel, extra attack on Prime Key 17, extra attack on the new whatever Prime Speed Medal we get, you guys are pretty much set on all the buffs and debuffs. So you don't need to go out and spending all your jewels, because it's a non-mercy pull, and I have plenty of videos on my channel showing you what happens to non-mercy pulls. It doesn't turn out good, guys. And just like everything else in the game, I believe that this Kairi has to come as a mercy pull eventually, but that took a long time for Kairi and Xion EX to be a mercy pull. It took months, guys, months. You're gonna go months without pulling this medal, but remember, your jewels have the biggest value. As long as we keep getting medals like these stained glass, these prime medals, even other medals that just come from VIP medals themselves, 7 strength we have there. Every medal that you make into a 7-star acquires a buff of upright strength or reverse strength according to the medal. So the biggest important thing here is that prime medals give you the reverse defense down or upright defense down according to whatever the medal is, but this Kairi has it all. So realistically, you can do without her, but eventually she will be a staple in everything, and PvP is going to be locked down because of that. Everyone who has this Kairi and doesn't have extra attack on their Xion, their Scrooges, their stained glasses, their prime medals are going to have to rely on this Kairi. If they don't have this, whales are going to dominate the game. Period. Especially people who have multiple copies. You really don't need any traits on her. Nothing at all. I wouldn't say, hey, you should get this trait over this trait. Extra attack's useless. That automatically says you don't need extra traits. The best thing you can do with her is plus 800 HP on every single slot, so you can essentially turtle with Zexion Plus that's currently in the game. So her plus Zexion Plus equals any content that comes out, you should be able to turtle infinitely, no problem. Especially if you just slap defense boost 5s all over the Keyblade. You can just turtle anything that doesn't say complete in 1 turn. So it's kind of ridiculous. Kairi, you're so broken. Why? Well, this is what we gotta expect. They had to do something. That override skill is what makes her so amazing, and it's just jaw-dropping when you see something like that, because all these turtle setups in PvP are done. They're done. Esunud really doesn't change anything in PvP except for poison, and poison's an extra 1,000,000 damage, so that does make quite a bit of a difference right there. If you take away your poison and your opponent has poison, they can't take away theirs, boom, you automatically get an extra 1,000,000 points, and that can be the deciding factor in a lot of matches. So there's a lot of things here to consider, guys. There is a ton of things to consider here, but I really think that we don't need it immediately. This is just a small little recap of the medal. Once the medal drops tonight, it should drop tonight. If it doesn't, they'll postpone it by a week most likely, but we've been on par with JP so far when it comes to medals. When they got Key Art 17, we got Key Art 17 on our reset. So tonight at Friday, 3 AM Eastern time for me. So I honestly don't think you guys should be jumping the gun and trying to go for a non-mercy. If you're loaded in jewels, try 5 pulls if you want to, because I believe the banner also comes with other 7 stars, and there's also something good about it. I can double check right now for you guys. Oh, it comes with a guaranteed trait medal every single time. There might be something else there. I can't really check, but I don't know, guys. I personally not going to go chasing. I'm still waiting for Toy Story. I'm still waiting for Nick and Judy. The new High Score Challenge medal doesn't look crazy good in my opinion, and we're going to talk about that in a second as soon as I find out where I put it. But this new Kairi medal is a game changer, but not immediately. We don't need it right away, depending on what you guys have. If you want to save all your jewels and skip all these prime medals and go right ahead, because having the best buffer in the game and then saving towards all the new attack medals will make you ahead of everyone. But currently our best attack medals are 7 stars, so with that Kairi, you essentially can make any metal 7-star and relevant. You can do that now with the prime and key arts, but now you don't need to pull for primes or anything when you can have this new buff metal and just go along and use your old tier 6, your 6 stars metals and turn to 7-star. That way you can save up for new metals that come out that have amazing multipliers, and when we get new fairies to level up our 6 stars to 7 stars, you guys will be set. But of course, having everything that's new is always going to be the best, just not necessary for PvE. For PvP, it's a whale's territory. You just can't stop it, guys. PvP is that, and on top of it, with that being said, let's open this back up and let's talk about what's coming up next. Before I show you the next part, it's going to be a high score challenge, and it's going to hurt what I have to say. PvP is being changed. In JP, they're only next PvP cycle is only going to be 4 days. They want to change the date that it begins and ends. So it's only going to be 4 days. It's only the Starlight, so only 1 round. So whoever wins that round with the Starlight wins. And they want to make a quick PvP thing. So you don't have to use 3 Keyblades. They want to switch it over, so that's what they're doing. Just a heads up, your Starlight, level 25, and whatever medals fit on it. But you in JP, if we follow them, we're changing our PvP week. Instead of 7, it's going to be 4 days, just so we can shift it, and then it should go back to 7. With that being said, here's where the interesting part is on this high score challenge. This is the new high score challenge medal. It's good multiplier, but it has nothing else. Oops, it has nothing else going on for it. It's just Squall. Sorry, well yeah, Leon and Cloud, basically Squall medal. It doesn't have any buffs or debuffs. It just does a big hit. That's it. Nothing else. It's a high score challenge. Here's the kicker though. So remember how I said that PvP's overwhelmed by whales eventually, especially because we have no other way of getting 7-star medals? Well, in high score challenge in JP, if you have a 7-star version of any of these medals, they are worth more percentage in the high score challenge. I don't like this. I don't like this at the moment, but in later on it could turn out good, especially if they allow us to use older medals, which I can see older medals down there that were in the tier 4 polls, like the Axel down there and the Riku over here. You can see, but if you have these medals as a 7-star, they are worth 5% more. Thank you to Pyro, who supplied me with this image, so big shout out to you, Pyro. But basically 5% increase if you have these medals 7-star. And for some reason, Boss Marluxia and this Terra as 7-star is worth 26%, as much as a prime, what do you call it? A prime KR17 and prime Axel, which means that people who pulled from the banners actually have a chance at competing with 26%. So that's not bad either, as when you look at it. If you did pull from the banner, you got 26%. So realistically, yes, but they can do this where they make it, like I said, because we decided, hey, we're only going to pull once and we're not going to make it 6-star until we have fairies. Everyone who pulled 5 times, boom, got a bigger percentage. It's the same idea. You have to pull to compete in the high score challenge. If you don't pull, you don't compete. It's the same thing. It's just this can go really wrong really fast. If they do it right, it can go in the right direction as well when you see stuff like that. That Terra and that Boss Marluxia being 7-star, those were like a guaranteed. If you pull from this banner, you got a tier 4 7-star, and they were one of the things. It's not guaranteed, but the list looks a little bit bigger if you see it goes downward. So it scares me, and I'm not sure if it's going to become even more of a whale status or people who just have super luck. This might turn out bad. I don't know. That's just my first look at it. It could change when it comes and I go into it and we do more polls and the banners are not bad. Like I said, you have to pull to compete in a high score challenge, so it's exactly the same. It's just like I said, 7 stars have more percentage. It seems a little bit weird to me, just a little bit, but we'll talk about it when it actually happens in North America and we go through the high score challenge and all that. But for now, that's what's happening. Welcome to the reign of Kairi all over again. Just not as bad as Kairi and Shion EX. They had a bigger impact compared to this Kairi. This Kairi is good, but we're able to do all the buffs and debuffs that we need with the primes, stained glasses, and other buffers, as long as you guys have the proper traits or the proper medals and the setups. This is just overall everything. So hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of an idea what's going on in JP. I want to give you a little sneak peek. I'm going to plan to do these a little bit more often. If JP does have something significant happening or a new high score challenge, I'll give you guys a heads up. Hey, look at this new banner that they got, new medal. I'll give you guys a little heads up so you know how to save your jewels if it ever becomes like that. But for now, this was something that I definitely wanted to do because Kairi is the Kairi and the Shions. They rule the game, but not as much right now. So let me know what you think down below. Do you agree with what I'm saying, that you really don't need to pull for her right away? Or are you just gonna go like, take my jewels, Cena, take them? Let me know down below. If you did enjoy the video, don't forget to hit the like button. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Keep on smiling, and I'll see you in the next one.